Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.
Today we are in Belgium, in Hasselt, and to be more specific, we're at the Maison Florida, which is a wonderful, big and creative space. And we're joining today the Magnificent Migraine Festival, if I recall right. Is it a festival or is it? Yes, right, okay. Luckily I have two guests with me here today. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Maison Florida under the point of space. Space as in room, not as like in the place where the satellites are. Today I'm joined with Laura.
Hello.
And Thomas. And you guys have a pretty cool story to tell. Like I think 3 weeks ago I was here in Hasselt and I took a tour about this whole place and looked around and I saw this tiny house in construction. And this is the new place you guys can live in, right?
Yes, exactly. So in about 2 weeks we will move in here. And it's the place, it's called actually Crocodile Boulevard. It's part of the Maison Florida, but it's at the outside. And it's actually a concept of people living together in small houses or in a creative way of living. And we will join it pretty soon. Now we are building the house since December.
And in 2 weeks it will be finished.
Yeah.
So it will be 3 by 4 meters and we have a little up story to sleep on, and
Mezzanine.
it will be, if we're talking about space, it will be an experiment in the good use of space, I guess.
All right. So for the most people at home, which is this is probably kind of a different way than they live. So what is the story? How one thinks of like moving to Hasselt to the Crocodile Boulevard?
Yes, very good.
I'm thinking, okay, I will build a small house here, and this is 3 by 4 meters will be all I need.
What the story is behind it?
Yeah, please.
So actually it started 3 to maybe 4 years ago now. Maybe Thomas can explain it better because he started his own project and which was for us the start to...
to eventually coming here.
Yeah.
I started 3 years ago by reading a book actually, Walden of Tauche. It's a writer, an American writer of like more than a century ago. And he wrote a book about his experiment to live as small and as simple as possible. I read the book and I just thought, well, I have to try that for myself. So 3-4 years ago, I found a caravan, like 3 by 8 meters. And I've been living there for a year without electricity, without running water, to find out what you need and what you don't need, how much space do you need, how small can you go. And that was for a year, and then we went on a big trip, and then for the last 2 years, Doran and me are living there together in the caravan. It's been a great time, and we will miss it very much. But with this space like Maison Florida, that just
happened to be in Hasselt suddenly.
It felt like a good new step. We now have the space for ourselves quite covered, and now we can come here where they put strong on community feeling, on getting to know each other, and it feels like a next step to go into a group now. So
how did your life change from that? Because you didn't always live in a caravan for 4 years. Like before you lived in an apartment?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What changed? Like I can imagine, because you did it for at least 4 years, you enjoyed that. So what changed for the better after you chose that step?
That's a long story.
That's a good question. Everything became more relative, I guess. You were because of the stepping back, we were able to have an overview of the things that are happening around us, and then look, what things do you like, what things do you don't like. You just have the time and the space, because it's very important to get to know yourself, and by knowing yourself, get to know the surroundings and how you interact to them. And I think we have the interaction between us quite on point now. So now it's a next step. I feel like we got to know ourselves. We know what we can do. We know what we cannot do. And now let's...
Yeah, like for us it was really nice. At first experiment, and then it just became a lifestyle and became very natural. And it felt like a good thing to do it not only for us, but also to share it with other people. And it's the perfect space here to share it with like-minded people who are also thinking about living in a very open way and with an open mind.
Positive view.
A positive view. And so for us, it would be super nice if we are here and we live here in the new house, that we can share the feelings we had already. But
and
now
learn.
we can...
And keep on learning.
And keep on learning, exactly. Because now we were a little bit at a limit, like, okay, it works perfectly for the two of us, but how would it be if we do it in a community, together with new people, with other people? We know a couple of them already quite well, but not... Well, it will still evolve. And
now we will most likely discover how much personal space we need and how much the community can enter and have a...
This will be really interesting too, because living together with people is also a big question of space, because people really need their own space as well. Yeah. So what's the limit? What are the advantages of living together? But what's also your personal limit of in exchange with other people?
When I think about my apartment, I know I have a lot of stuff, most of which I probably won't use every day or every week or maybe like once a year. Is there anything you still miss from the classic lifestyle you lived before?
Well, for me,
a shower.
We have a shower, but it's a really basic one. And every time
water.
I'm with my mother, I take a shower because I just enjoy the really heat of the hot shower. But that's the only thing, I guess. Like, it's really a relief that we have less, don't have that much material objects anymore. It's more easy, because you also don't need to worry about it if you don't have it. We have a lot of books, but what else do we have? Some blankets, kitchen material, like the basics.
And you get a long way with just the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when I watched my parents' place, I think you just also get more stuff when you have more room, right?
Yeah.
Because I just have a small apartment, like I still have a lot of stuff, but not that much. Like I feel like my parents, their whole basement is full of stuff they rarely ever use, but they don't want to throw it out because they have some, I guess, emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
So how did that work for you because at one point you had to decide, okay, I'm gonna sell this or gonna leave this behind. Was that kind of hurtful for you?
Not really. It went actually very naturally, I guess, because I read the book, and in the book, like, the writer is very specific about what he had. He had a list with the things he had. So when I first went to the caravan, I just took his list, and that's all I need, and that's it. And then it turns out you don't actually miss a lot of stuff that was not on the list. The list is pretty complete, and then we just went on from there, I guess.
And also, before he lived in a caravan, and afterwards we lived together in the caravan, we had been in co-livings in apartments with friends, so it's not that we had so much space. It was not a super big change.
No.
In the way of, we didn't have so much stuff already. We didn't have to sell a lot.
No.
May I ask you how the financial part of the work, do you still work on classic jobs, or did you find another solution for that?
So
we both work part-time, half-time. We have to go to work in a minute.
So that's actually also because we don't have a big house. Right. We don't need that much money, and we don't need to work that much. And that's also a really important thing of space in your life. You have space to do the things you want to do. Right. It's not only space; it's also space in your head or to do the things you want to do.
I think I make it like 1,200 euros with working part-time, and just to live, I've noticed I can get by with 600.
Oh, right.
So that's okay, and then now we will pay a bit rent. We didn't have to pay rent before, and now we will pay a bit rent, but that's okay, and then still...
Yeah,
it's like 300 euros a month.
It really depends
extra.
where you live, right? I think if you're living in Munich or in Berlin, if I notice numbers, I think 600 is the very base you pay for a very small apartment.
Yeah.
So for my final answer, you said this will be an experience. Do you have a guess how long you will live here or a plan?
So this place, Maison Florida, is for 4 years, as I understood right. So I think 2 years are over or past already. So I think there's 2 more years. So I guess this will also be the period of time we will be here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming here and answering all my questions. This is very fascinating. I would love to try this for a while, maybe, because I find this very, very interesting to, get tiny and get loose of all the weight your stuff has. We will have a short break, and then we will have some more guests. And stay tuned, and we see you soon.
Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.
Hello, and welcome back to Maison Florida. Today, streamed by Hello Creator TV as part of the Hello Creator Festival. Today I have 2 more guests with me, and this is Ilse and Jan. And Ilse, you're one of the founding members of Maison Florida, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe for the people out there that don't know Maison Florida that well yet, can you do some basic text about Maison Florida, what it is?
Maison Florida is something from the school, and the school is an organization, and we mainly focused the last years about improving the cities, how can we connect more with other cities, doing infrastructural research, those kind of things. So we also traveled with groups, and we did a lot of events on researching those things. And last year we had a location in the station area, but we had to move out there. And so Myrte is a girl of one of the 4, and she said to Pablo, let's find another building. And so Pablo arranged this place. And the first time we came here, we were in shock, like, whoa, what the fuck, it's so big. And the first months we moved in, we mainly were just searching for materials to start, actually, because, it was empty. Old machines and furniture, but that was it. And we took it very slowly, actually, with some... also events where we invited students from different schools to participate and be a part of something bigger. And there is also always another team to the event.
So you have this insanely huge location here. I said before, I think I was here about 3 weeks ago, and we took a whole tour to the whole place, and it took us, I think, hours, because we looked into basically every single room, and because we filmed a lot here. And what was this place before you guys arrived?
Well, it was actually a school, but
training center,
for adults, I don't know.
For people who are struggling and finding a job, we have this organization called the VDAB. So they help you, and they also offer some education. Like this place was mainly for metal things,
electric stuff like that.
Yeah, like electricians and lots of metal works to come do a training and then off to work in the metal factory. But they've moved now a bit further, or I think another city. So the whole building was just empty.
For how long was it empty before you guys found it?
Not that long. I think like a year or maybe 2 at most.
And that's what's so insane, because I think they were gone here for some months, not long, maybe 3 months, and then we moved in. But we find cracks and holes everywhere. Like the building is in a really bad shape, it's so funny to think that they were here just months before we came in, and it seems like impossible that people got classes in here.
So what works had to be done when you arrived? Like when you said it's in very bad shape, did you do a lot of renovation work?
Well, in summer, in lockdown, there was a group, and we got equipment from another school, and they gave her all kitchen supplies and machines, and then they installed a big kitchen. So that was something that was really important, because some of us stayed here day and night to work on projects. So, and the kitchen is always like, an important center of something like this.
Right.
Everyone gathers there, and food is also really important. So that was one of the biggest tasks to do, the kitchen, the renovation of that. For the rest,
Yeah, I saw that kitchen. It's a very cozy place. It's a very big kitchen. Like I rarely saw these, like maybe in TV before, but never in that size.
Yeah, it's more industrial.
It's an industrial
kitchen. Yeah, we have now
right?
2 kitchens actually, but the other one is there and it's smaller. But it's nasty.
And you have this great like couch lounge, and there's this little turtle there that lives there, which is super cute. And I heard stories how it escaped before, and it's just super nice.
We were scared today because we thought he was gone today.
Oh no!
But he was just hiding.
I think last time he was gone for about weeks, right?
He was weeks gone. Yeah.
2 days. Yeah. So he just popped up
That was
again.
insane that he was still alive.
It's crazy. I think right somewhere next to the kitchen, I still got my structural plan not with that well set up. Is the band room? Is it somewhere next to the kitchen?
Yeah, almost. Just have to. There's like one other big area next to the kitchen, and then I'm kind of. Besides that, it's like kind of like a basement area, but not in a basement. It's just still on the ground floor.
It's a side room of the oven. I don't know if you know the oven with the pink carpets.
I don't really recall the oven, like the heater in oven, or
The space is called the oven.
It's just called that. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just one of the big halls. Because you got.
So let's maybe talk about the band room, because this fits very closely to your role here at Maison Florida, right? So can you tell us about what you do here?
Well, basically the idea was to organize gigs here, like I said, like for 2 bands, more in the heavy genres like punk, metal, hardcore, because that's what I do with my band as well. And it still hasn't got off to start yet because of Corona and lockdown and all that. But the idea is that I get 2 bands, one local, one from a bit further, also Belgium, or could also be from other countries. So like you get a band that's already somewhat of has some is known a little bit, so you get people here, but then also a starting band, so you can also offer a stage for new bands to kick off. But also what also made me think of this was because Hasselt is like the capital of Limburg, but it's still a really boring city, and especially the more heavy genres, we really don't have anything in Hasselt. So we have the MLD that's really nearby, but over the last couple of years they've been trying to get bigger bands, and so they've been going a bit more mainstream. So I felt like this was really something that this town really needs to, like a small venue for like trashy punk and hardcore bands to play. But now since I think with the lockdown, we used to rehearse at my place in the attic, a really small room with 4 people. So then we decided, well, let's move here. There's a little bit more space. So now it's also a rehearsal room, really. But the idea is to have concerts there.
I'm pretty sure like people would love to come here once like bands can play, because this is like a very amazing location. Like this is a great vibe, and it's like I think around every corner there's something you didn't expect to see, and there's this very free space. If I compare it when I grew up, like I lived in a very kind of smallish city. So every time we wanted to do something cool, we went to the next city and we drove at least 1 hour. So I'm pretty sure like that wouldn't be the issue to get people a little bit outside here, because it seems like a somewhat industrial area, right?
Yeah,
it is.
It's not that this place isn't public or anything, like it's more hidden. But that's also something I like about this place. I like more the underground vibe.
Yeah.
And yeah, not everyone in this building is on that same page, but everyone does his own thing. But yeah, that's for me something interesting.
Okay, can we talk a little bit about what projects you already have done and shown, or maybe what your plans are for the next, maybe, what is the 4 years, is it?
3.
3
3
I
years,
think we are in half, like we are now on our
Year and a
1.5
half, almost. So
Yeah,
we're
I think
almost
so.
halfway.
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah, so Corona really kind of,
Really bad time.
yeah, really.
But I think it's even possible that it can be longer, like because the processes about these buildings always takes longer, and even in this situation,
So
it
what
can
is
be
that
the
dependent
case.
on if you can like renew your contract or what
Yeah,
that is?
something like that. Yeah.
So
Basically, they're trying, because the VDAB, this government organization, they still own this building, but
Alright.
actually they want to sell it. If it gets sold,
They
then
just need to
more
sell it.
likely it's that it's going to be trashed and then build something new.
Right.
So I guess it all kind of depends on that, whether they have buyers or not. So
So is there something that in the second half of your time you at least want to do, which you really wish for that happens here?
What I really want to do here?
Yeah. What is one of your plans or one of your dreams that you really want to do?
I'm not sure about my future here. What I like to do in the future. What I did was I was mainly interested in giving events. I did some events with food, and I have Club Kitchen, and I called it Club Kitchen. And I'm someone who's always lonely, and one of my struggles in life is eating. Like, I never have the time, or I always forget to eat. And so I came up with the idea, like, why can't I learn to cook and invite people and make it something, a nice thing for me to do? Because eating was a struggle for me, and I made something fun of it for me. So I had events like that. The first one was techno tapas. Then I invited a DJ and he played techno music. And then everyone was eating tapas in one of those underground industrial spaces. Then the next one was punk pizza. Then I ordered pizzas and also made vegan pizzas for the others. And then were there 2 punk bands. And that was in the oven. And then the third one I did online, but it was nothing really big. But that was my plan to do more. But it's totally on hold with the corona. Yeah,
I hope that works out for you again, because I can really relate to that.
Yeah.
I live at a very busy street, and I rarely ever cook, because I just buy my food downstairs, or somewhere over there there's some liquid food I ate because I can't be bothered to cook.
Yeah.
So tell us about it. I would love to join next time. And
sure.
Yeah, this is our last word for today. We will have a video to show you guys now at home, because, like I said, we went all around this place and filmed basically every single room.
Okay.
And we will show you that on stream now, so you will have a little bit more of an idea what this wonderful place looks like. And we see you after a short break again, and we hope you enjoy the video that comes now.
Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.
And we're back again at Maison Florida by Hello Creator TV, by the Hello Creator Festival. And we are going live from the Magnificent Migraine Festival today. My next two guests are Pablo and Ruud. Did I do it right this time?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing my best with Dutch names. I feel like this uncultured German guy that just arrives and can't do the names. You guys, I think we will start with you, Pablo, because we already met one of the founding members of Maison Florida. You're another one of them. You're the second one. Can you tell us what your role today is and what your general role is in general?
Yeah. So today you are invited to participate in Magnificent Migraine Festival. It's a multidisciplinary arts festival only for participants, meaning there is no audience and there are no visitors. And my role today is of producing. I am one of the participating artists, but I'm experienced that as a producer, your own art comes last. So my art will come in between, hopefully today somewhere, my performance or whatever I will create. And this is inside the house of, we call Maison Florida. And this house is a space for moments, creatives, artists, non-artists, for creating concepts, spaces. And it is sort of overseen by the bigger umbrella of the school, which is the organization for improving the city by experimenting, by playing. This is the backup, a sort of a research.
I will rudely push your art now to the middle of the focus right now because you said it's going to come later today. Can you talk about your art for the Magnificent Migraine Festival?
I had a collab with an artist from Aachen. She's called Eilem Polat. But unfortunately, we had to break it off in the middle of our collaboration. So I'm continuing on this path. And I developed this sort of... she wrote a poem, and I continued working on her poem. And I disintegrated her poem. And this will be part of my performance later on, that I will live perform this disintegrated pre-recorded poem. This sounds abstract, and to me it's a new form of expression. So yeah, I'm curious what it will be. I don't know what it will be. I am ready to improvise.
Speaking of performance, Ruud, can you talk about what you use these mighty halls of the Maison Florida for in the last while?
I'm now participating here for half a year, and I recently wrapped up my Master in Theatre in Maastricht with a huge exhibition and performance. And now I'm with my theatre collective. We are now creating projects where we engage people from society, most of the time vulnerable people in society, to make theatre with here in Maison Florida. So in March and April we start with a project with mostly refugee children to create here a small performance and to educate them in art education in Hasselt and Genk. So, because I think we believe that there are people from from migrant families and refugee families, the children has to inform about the art education here. So most of the time they don't know about that. So that, and also with people in poverty, we're gonna create theatre with. And Maison Florida is for us, for me, the place to bring people together, because this is a huge building. There are lots of interesting people to create, and so that's for the future months. That's the goal to do. Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit how that project started? Because I think it's a very honorable idea to work, especially with refugees or migrants. How did it start? How did you find the contact with the?
That was in Corona, the first Corona time. I was looking for work, something to do, and I seeked contact with Domo as an organization in Hasselt, which have contacts with most of the time migrant families or families in poverty, and I offered them to organize theater workshops for the children. And the most of the children didn't know something about theater, and in the summer I created a course for them, and that was really a joy, really a big fun, and there was interest, and there was a hunger to continue the collaboration into this, and then here. And to give them also a tour in the building, to give them this is art, this is what art can be. Just do it, yeah.
We talked about this, how this is a very insanely huge location. I think everybody has somewhat of his own corner here in this building. How much do you interconnect between each other, and how much, Pablo, for example, do you see his projects and vice versa?
I participated as a frog
right.
in one of his pieces, his performances. So I think there is a large voluntarity to participate. And this is something we manage or we stimulate. And the spaces are what they are, and they were built for another reason, but similar in a way. There are spaces where people would meet together to learn. There were spaces where people would meet to eat. And then there were offices. And so we acknowledged the dynamics of this building to see what spaces we could maintain as collaborative spaces, gathering spaces, non-determined spaces. And this balance between sort of small starting spaces where someone develops, works, maybe collaborates in a smaller scale, and then opens the doors and invites himself to the other bigger space. This dynamics is part of this building. So we saw it, and then sort of we modeled it step by step. Today there are 70 plus people participating, and then we have the luxury to, in these days, give them spaces, give them space in general, breathing space, open the doors, it's sunny day. But other days, winter times are different than summer times. Other days we have also this large space to invite people to conduct their research or to experiment or to play, and each has space to start from or to meet people. The school in general, the organization always has been reacting to space. Other spaces, other projects were different and sort of changed or colored our methodology. And this, well, now we are here in Maison Florida, still 1.5 years to go. We see what develops before us, in front of us. Yeah.
Would you say Maison Florida is kind of like also dependent that you like your paths cross each other all of the time? Like, would Maison Florida be the same if you wouldn't also like you needed to kind of participate with each other because you share spaces?
You have to be able to cross the same hallway or enter through the same door. So that's a start. So you have to be able to be together. And this is an organic process. People come and people go. You get to know people. Others you don't get to know because they're in their office or space. But there is no obligation. And everything comes from the dynamics of the people themselves. Of course, days like today, we organize to stimulate certain other connections. And today, we are able to meet people that we only met online and others. So my role today is, hey, do you know this person? You should know. So a matchmaker, sort of. But I don't need to, because I see that it works on its own. And people, some people have this role inside them, and others are sort of waiting for this to happen. Yeah. So it's a mix, and I like this organic process.
We talked a little bit about the insights of the people that participate here, that are part of the Maison Florida. What would you guys think, which is something that every single one that is an artist here or that works here or is a participant brings with them, which is like a similarity which is in all of you?
I don't know. I think so. The festivals are an invitation from us to people in and outside the building. We don't invite people to come in this building to be an atelier occupant, etc. So the events are the invitation, meaning whatever happens after this invitation, the festivals, is from the desire or the drive from the person itself. So that person will come and say, okay, I want to stay longer. I want to, I saw this human connection, etc. And what connects them all is this desire to have space in this way, outside the center, the city center, in the way, the roughness, this tiny bit dirty, I don't know, this roughness of this building, and the liberty to just be themselves. There is no selection in this house. So everyone can participate. And that's on its own is a reaction, maybe an activistic reaction, to other houses of culture, where you are selected, where you are discriminated, where you are weighed upon, and then depending on your role in society, you are either popular or not. And this is not something we want here. So we are inclusive. And this is a challenge, because what is inclusiveness? It brings on other new challenges, but we have the effort and the drive to be like that. So that on its own is I think people must feel it. And they must. I cannot speak for others. But
what would you say that would be a challenge of inclusiveness in that sense?
Inclusiveness is to be able to have this community work. I mean, here we are sitting gently, calm in a couch, but I can imagine that other personalities, characters, cultures are used to have a different conversation. And in times of migraine, for example, when you have a migraine, you are more sensitive. And cultures together, or different personalities, or different states of being, matching them together in a community, you need space to start with. But also you need something like a tap on the shoulder, a comforting feeling, to be able to just live together, even if someone is constantly shouting and someone is very peacefully working or something. So characters is the most easy thing to explain the inclusiveness or the challenges, but there are, of course, more challenges. Yeah.
Can you agree to that? And what would you say? What would be something that that Maison Florida had so special that you could appreciate from, or in general, what do you really like here?
That it's about the intention of creating, and that's my impression, that it's the weight of the intention of creating is more important than the final result. And that's, I think we live sometimes, because I also teach on youngsters theater, and I've noticed that youngsters, they are always scared for my result is not good enough. And I think that we are living sometimes in a sort kind of society that, is it good? What was the reaction of the audience that weighs more than, but what was your intention of making? And here is it the opposite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's what I really like here. So I can follow Pablo, and I hear him some kind saying also like that. So that's the reason that I wanted to participate. So,
do you guys feel like this is a general issue of people that do art or work in an artistic way, that they worry too much about how it's gonna be seen by the world and less by the way they create?
There is a big stress in people in general, not just in arts, but in general. And we sort of, as people, we bring this stress to these new people. We bring it to ourselves. And this is one space. There are other spaces or places or organizations that also emphasize on this support rather than on the critic. And it's a reaction to schools, art schools, for example, but also other schools. I learned to build on the thing that is in front of me, rather than to break it apart and then ask for a new attempt. And in this house, we are very much opposite to, let's say, art schools, where people have to question things, and here we have the effect of, whoa, what is this? What could we do? How can we build on this, upon this? So the dynamics, the logics are completely opposite to, for example, art schools. And this is sort of felt by the participants. They feel it. They are supported in to do whatever they want. sort of. And this is a very liberating feeling. It brings also a tiny bit of, I don't know, I'm walking on an edge or on a cord above, what is my stability, blah, blah, blah. But then you have shoulders to bump into, and then you have conversations, and then you have the relaxedness. Even though we are also living on the edge, living full on. Here in this house, we live cat years or something, I don't know. We live things by 10. If we only had 1.5 years now, the length of it in numbers or in intensity is from 10 years or something. But I don't know if we grow older or something. I don't know if we still look okay.
We had kind of you had kind of like taken 1 year away of you because of Corona, where you can't like freely work like a little bit before, and you couldn't really quite get the audience here that you maybe wanted. I asked that question before to the group that was here before. I would like to repeat it to you for the final 1.5 years that is still to go. What would be projects that you would love to do if Corona would fade in the next few months or in the next year?
The project I want to realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I summed it up already a little bit, but the project I just mentioned, I hope that there is the possibility of an audience back again. That's my only worry. I think there's a lot of possibilities to create also on a distance and the space. So we make the best of it, but there's almost a year without an audience. So, and especially from the theater side, you're gonna, I know I'm feeling it, the absence of an audience, and that's, but I have a good hope that it's possible in the May, June, that there's an audience back.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, I think so. But that's the main worry for me in those projects.
And we wish you the best of luck for that,
for
sure. And for you, Pablo?
I'm less focused on audience, and that's also part maybe of the DNA of the school, that we were in the beginning giving energy so much to this promoting and media thing. And then we soon shifted towards participation. And the festivals that I love the most were of 90%, 100% participation. Today is also about participation. And we are audience to each other, which is a tiny bit different feeling. I understand. I mean, we have concepts here that sort of emptied out, waiting for the moment to start again. And then we said, okay, forget it. We will just invent a new concept then when it's time. For this house, I hope that we develop the tools to be able to give all these participants in this house enough guts, knowledge, and attempts to build satellite spaces after the 1.5 years. So the next year, now we continue this summer to play and to develop maybe, but the last year will be about that, to really make it possible to be independent without us, and to have the insight to create other spaces on their own, not with our helping hands, but just on their own. And that would be enormous impact for this city, for others. Imagine this space times 20 in cities. That the effect, it would change a city. Yeah. And that is what we want. We came a few months ago, we went to Potsdam near Berlin, and we saw the effect of a huge sort of Maison Florida, but times 10 or something, Freiland, which had a different history. And then we saw another space, there were 2 islands, but there were already 2 islands in this city. Imagine the power of multiple different forms, but multiple free spaces for arts or for other forms of expression. That would be something.
I really agree. I think like every city would be a better city if something like Maison Florida in there. Like if my hometown would have had something like that, I would have loved every second of it there. I'm wishing you the best of luck for the next time, and I hope that everything works out for you and the best. I really thank you that you joined me here today, and really like to thank you that we can participate here today. And yes, we will have another short break, then we will see you again. So we hope you stay tuned, and we see you again after the break. Thank you.
Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.
And welcome back to Maison Florida. I will have 2 more guests now, which are Sebastian and Elke. And maybe we start ladies first. Elke, you live actually here at the Maison Florida, basically, right?
Yeah, that's true. I'm now living here since almost half a year, but since 1st of January I live in a caravan, which I rebuilt myself together with Steph, another person living here. And it's really nice because this place is, you have a lot of space, also tools and wood, and you have like every material you need to make to rebuild a caravan. So that's a dream coming true now here. So that's a really nice thing now.
You told me in the pre-interview you're doing your master's degree right now.
Yeah.
How can I imagine that? Like, how is it like doing your master's degree while living in a caravan next to a place like Maison Florida?
Yeah. I chose to split my master's degree in 2 years, so I have more time to be here and be present in the building and helping with the other projects or other people, or or when they organize something, I try always to help. So I split my years in 2, and so that makes it possible to also live in the caravan, build it more, or it's possible. I have internet, I have water, I have electricity, I can shower, so it's basically just a little home with everything you need. So.
May I ask you what came to my mind when you told me this earlier? It's like, I think like last week it was insanely cold outside. Like every time I stepped outside for like 5 seconds, I was freezing to death. How was that for you?
Like that. When I woke up, I wanted to drink some of my water, but it was all frozen.
All right.
So even in my bottle or everywhere. Also, my phone, I need to put it underneath my pillow because otherwise I get like this message like, oh, watch out, your battery,
really?
It's getting really cold. I have a heating panel, so that's helping a little bit, but it's some kind of infrared, or how you call it. So it's not that. It's not giving that much warmth, but it's giving enough to live, I would say.
All right.
Yeah.
Sebastian, you already you said you spent a lot of time here at Maison Florida.
Yes.
May I ask you how long you've been here?
Well, I've started my residency here in June.
All right.
Yeah. So that's now 7 months, I think, something like this. I see myself as kind of a really committed resident. I don't see myself necessarily as a resident anymore because it's kind of like a second home a little bit. I really believe in the values and the ideas we all share here. It always really motivates me to be here because we are really like-minded and we stimulate each other and try to help each other with all the projects.
May I ask you, just because you just said it, you talked about values and ideas. What do you think some common values or ideas are similar about among us, all the residents here?
Well, we try to be really, we're concerned about a lot of stuff in society. So we try to repurpose and refurbish stuff. We don't want to go anything to waste. So we try to repair stuff, make our own thing, more sustainable. I think also more humanistic in a way. We are really, for me, it feels like really we're a family. I really share a lot of good times with them, and we can always rely on each other. So it's really important to me.
That's really nice, yeah. That might be a good point in talking about what your general projects are, or what you're doing in general here in Maison Florida.
Well, I came in here in Florida as a resident, and I focused mainly on printmaking. And I specialize in woodcut and etching, and my projects mainly concern my self-portraits as a sort of psychological self-analysis, which I then can also know other people better. So by understanding myself better, I can understand other people better. So it's like a mirror in a sense.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process of that? Like what kind of material do you use, or where you start? Self-portrait in general, the theme, I started with it because I had a lot of mental struggles. And I really wanted to know why that these problems manifested, because I went to a lot of help now, like psychologists and stuff, and actually it didn't really work because it was something deeper. I think all the time, which is not always a good thing. So I tried to dig myself to see what the trouble was, and it gave me a lot of insight in how I function, and it kind of resolved in a sense, because if you know yourself better, you make peace with it. So it's Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that train of thought with us. I think probably like art in general, in every way, is always a way to be in contact with yourself, to reproduce yourself. Would you say, we didn't even talk about what your master's degree was, I think, here. What do you think that your innards are like some way replicated in the stuff you do? And maybe we can talk about again what your master's degree is you're working right on.
Yeah. It's like he said, like digging into yourself is really important, and you feel like the community here is also like really. You feel when you are in the community, you feel that yourself is getting better. So it's like a really good balance, I think. Right. That's just what I want to say on the community thing also. And that's also a little bit about my master degree. I wanted to do it about the community, because we're starting a community, another community, or the same, it's a little bit flowing into each other, with tiny houses. That was one thing. And I first wanted to do my master degree there, but I'm really passionate about food too. So I think I still have the time to choose one of those, but I think I want to focus still on the food, because food is also something that brings people together, and all your senses are getting into it. So I think it's really interesting to look like, to search for things that you can, that touches food. I don't know how you say it, like all your senses are coming when you're busy with food. So I think that's something really interesting. Yeah, it's still a little bit the base of it, but I'm doing little experiments here also in the caravan. I invite, for example, one person each month. So now Pablo is coming to eat in my caravan with me, a 3-course meal, and then we talk a bit, and I have this little postcards. Okay. And I give, or he can choose one of my postcards, and then we start talking about the card, and we give like new memories to each other. And then he will invite the next one. So that's one little concept. It's about food, but it's also about the environment around the food. So
this is already part of the project, the trucos mehr with the postcards, because like you said, food before was very abstract for me. So this is already part of the project, how I can imagine it?
This is like a little experiment. I'm just trying to do other sort of experiments. Like I can put all my ingredients on Instagram and I say, oh, what should I make? And you can choose 2 ingredients. Maybe it's chocolate and zucchini. I don't know. It's like you make something. So that's a little experiment. And I think I'm now doing just little experiments. And then maybe I can bundle them together, or I can choose one and dig into it and look for it. But I'm just still searching which one it will be, I think. Yeah.
You already said you invited Pablo over to be your guest and to get his feedback. How do you guys experience like working with other artists or with other residents of Maison Florida? Do you are in deep contact with your work on their work, or how can I imagine that? To both of you.
I think in my opinion, it's very important to be in contact with other people, especially other artists, because we influence each other, we support each other, and we give each other a lot of advice, and it's not necessarily that we have to be involved with the work, but we support each other, which is really important to me. That we give advice, critique, constructive critique is very important, I think. So in that sense, I think we always are in a way connected, because if I have a question about my work, or there's something that doesn't fit, then I can advise someone else, which is, I think, really important.
Yeah, the same. First I lived with my parents at home, and then I was still in my room, and I was always in the same room, and I think you always keep the same ideas when you're in the same room. It's like a new place is always excites me and everyone, I think. And there's so much space in here, so also the spaces and the people and always other people, or sometimes you have the same people, you know, oh, I need to know something about laser cutting or something about the computer, you know where to go. And that's the way you always, you all help each other, I think.
Yeah, that's also a thing. I think everyone has a speciality here, so we can always try to, if we don't know something, then we can help each other out.
No, great. Yeah.
Everyone has their thing, which is very productive, I think. We can basically do everything, I think, here, because everyone has a different skill set, and well, it's just amazing in my opinion.
When I walked around here, I saw that little room somewhere over there, which is called the Nest, which is thought was like maybe the coolest thing I've ever saw, because it seemed so cozy. This is such a huge area. Like, what is your favorite space or room or general area here in Maison Florida?
That's a funny one, because the Nest, when I first came here last year, I was here and sometimes we were working during the night till 4 o'clock, and then I was like, okay, what should I do? Should I go home or stay here? And I always went home. I went with the bike for an hour to go home, because I couldn't stay here. I didn't feel like sleeping here. It was a cold, big building, and that's why they make Nest. They made it for me, actually, so I had a place to stay, so I would feel welcome and home. So it was really nice. Merle and Steph made it, and since then I kept on staying here or slept in a tent in the building to make smaller spaces, because the building is big, and big space can be weird to sleep in or to stay in, or to organize it.
Right. How about you?
It's difficult to pinpoint one specific room to be my favorite, because I think it's great, the whole building, but I really like the writer's block in the garden, because it's like it's really cozy, and it feels like it's a building inside a building, which is something really interesting. And also, yeah, just it's a little house, so it's just like a comfort, like a tiny house, tiny home, and it really inspires me always because when I have a lot of stress and I have to write something, then I just go there because it's really calm. It's already also a really calm part of the building because sometimes there's a lot of movement in the building, a lot of people, excitement, and if you want to be calm, you can go there and just work really focused. So
I found it very exciting also when I walked around because I can imagine like this is a huge area, there's a lot of people, and then I saw that hut and it looked very cozy. There's all this little chicken pen around there, and then when I last visited, it was like raining heavily, and there's this kind of almost hypnotic dropping of the water into that water barrel, and I found it very, very calming. Talking about Maison Florida, I think the general contract is about 1.5 years more to go. Are there any projects or works or ideas that you would love to make reality in the final time of Maison Florida?
That's a difficult question. I think we want to do as much as possible because we're in the middle, and I think everyone has a lot of ambition and wants to create something that's never to be forgotten. But it's ending, which is also really interesting because if it's ending, then we as people, we are very fascinated by the fact that it's going to end, and so we try to do everything to make it so memorable that it's and also the project don't finish after it's done because we're still there. We're still like sort of cohesive group. We're really connected, and we have the same mentality. So I think it's gonna outgrow in a sense. It's gonna grow in other projects, other ideas.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think Pablo talked about that before, about his idea about creating satellites to keep this alive in every way. Yes, I can get it. This is Maison Florida has its own memento mori moment there. How about you, Eke?
I cannot really imagine like one project, but yeah, the community behind the building, that will be one focus. But yeah, I think it's 3 years and you really want to do a lot of things, but yeah, I don't know, it's really short and powerful, I think, to have it this 3 years, so I'm not really busy with the time.
Right, okay.
I'm really just thinking about, okay, we're here now, so let's do stuff now, and I'm not really thinking about what should we do next year, or I think also the building and the place and the people and everything connects like on the day itself. Like maybe tomorrow someone else walks in and we have an idea, oh yeah, let's do it. And so it really depends on who is coming in, who's going out. Maybe we have like new materials which are really like inspiration to build something big. So let's do that. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what will happen in the next time.
Yeah.
I hope to return because I find this a very fascinating place. And I will thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
And we will have another short break until the next team of people will show up. And yeah, we'll have a short break. We hope you stay tuned and we see you in a while.
Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.
Hello and welcome back to the Hello Creator Festival 2021. Today we're still at the Maison Florida at the Magnificent Migraine Festival. Almost forgot the first name, didn't. I have two more guests with me today here. This is one Mike. No, wait.
The other way.
This is the worst nightmare of every moderator.
Well, there are similar names.
Yeah.
I'm Mike. That's Milan.
Mike and Milan. Okay, I just switched you up. All right, sorry for that. To maybe get that personality better imprinted into my brain, can you tell me what you do here at Maison Florida or how you spend your time here?
I can start maybe. I don't really work here anymore, but I have worked here, and now my practice is more about doing things together. Actually, I don't really like those fancy names, participatory art and etc. I really read a lot of those things, relational aesthetics, but it's too chic for me.
Yeah.
It's a Dutch word, or I don't know if you understand. And I really like to be here because there's a nice dynamic between different type of people. So it's really motivating to be here.
Mm-hmm. So you really dig down the sense of community that Maison Florida brings with itself.
Yes, it's really a community, and you really have to look at Maison Florida like that, I think.
Mm-hmm. So how about you?
I run a lithographic print shop. So I work with artists, like either they come to me or I invite them to work within the medium I've set the studio up for. So it's basically a collaborative effort in creating fine art editions where an artist can just be an artist and I can take care of all the technical stuff of processing and like making the actual edition.
Can you walk us a little bit through that? Because for some that might seem a little bit of an abstract progress. Like, how can we imagine that? Like, maybe an artist approaches you, and then what happens after that?
Well, I guess they just send me a message, or they call me, like they want to do something, or they need an edition for an exhibition, or they have funding to create these editions, and then we start talking about what are the possibilities, what can we do, how can we do it. They come to me for a trial phase. Let's say we do like a couple of small stones. They try the materials, they try the techniques, and we do show them some color, show them some prints of what the possibilities are, and then we go to the final part and just test it out. It's a lot of back and forth. Like they make a drawing, I process it, I print it, and I print it in different colors. And the next drawing goes on top of that, I print that in different colors. Still, we like fine tune where the image has to be. And once we have one, after that the artist goes away, and I print an edition of this one.
How can we imagine that actual progress of stone printing? Because I feel that it seems like maybe hard to understand if you never saw that before.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's in the realm of the four big printmaking techniques, which are woodcuts, intaglio etchings, and screen print and lithography. But stone printing is all about it's a flat surface. So you take, it's kind of like pencils, like specific greasy pencils, and you can just draw with it, or with inks, you can draw on the stone. So it's a very direct way of working. And then there's a lot of chemicals involved. The drawings get turned into a printable surface. So part of the stone wants the ink, part of the stone wants water. And with that process of water and oil rejecting each other, you can print it on paper.
All right.
It's a very direct way of working, which is nice for artists.
Milan, you said you love to collaborate and work with other people here. Can you tell us about maybe some of your favorite projects you had while being here at Maison Florida?
My favorite project is something Steph Lemon started. They made a tribune, a really big chair for a lot of people, and they went around the block because we are in a really industrial place. Mm-hmm. And then they asked people to make a performance or a concert for the people that are working in that factory.
Oh, great, nice.
So it was every time we went out, it was about one specific industrial machine, and I had the chance to work with a dishwasher, not a dishwasher, but a wash machine for clothes. And then there was a really big, small, but really extended performance about me loving the machine and then letting the audience participate in my in my act of the love.
What would interest me, because we're kind of, like I said, in an industrial district here. Do you, aside of that, meet the other companies that are around here, or do you have any? Is there some correlation or with the companies around here?
I think it was a plan to be really involved in everything, but Corona definitely gave a setback, because it's hard to do it now, especially when it's so strict. But in the summer, it's really, they try to do it. And I think they're really creating a connection with some of the people, because they get materials from some companies that they get for free then to make walls, make anything here.
All right.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I'm very much in my own studio, but I think like more of the people who are organizing the building more, they're really working with taking the wood from our neighbors that we're going to throw away so we can repurpose it, and like talking to, I think this electrical company where one guy was learning all kinds of stuff and then started like fixing all the broken electricity that was left here.
Oh, right, okay.
Stuff like that. So I think there's a connection for a bunch of people that are more working in the building.
Do you collaborate a lot with the artists or with the residents of Maison Florida?
Not yet, but that will start happening now. It's like my studio took a couple of months to build, and since January I've kind of stress tested this. So now we're in like the first working month. And I think after this Magnificent Migraine Festival is over, I'll start putting out the calls for people to come work. And then, yeah.
I basically asked all of the groups before the same question, because it really interests me. We have about 1.5 more years of Maison Florida to go. That will happen for sure. Are there certain projects, events that you're looking forward to, or that you guys want to realize or be a part of?
Mm-hmm.
For me, especially the Crocodile Boulevard is really interesting, because I like the idea that they are building their own houses and ecosystem to live in, and it's now starting up with Stef, Elke, and Floor, and someone else. But it's something new. You don't really see that much, because it's not regulated, so it can't be happening anywhere else than here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like to be like to get a little bit more involved with this. I'm going to say the ecological part of it, like trying to repurpose and like being like conscious about the stuff you use. Because in my discipline, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of chemicals and stuff, so like which I cannot get around. So I have to pollute a little bit, so trying to offset that by like getting more into repurposing, growing and stuff like that. Which is going to be interesting.
Talking about the Crocodile Boulevard, which is like kind of a street where all these tiny houses and small houses stand. Is that something you could imagine to live in? Or even for a while, maybe.
For a little while, I would like to experience it, but no, I would. It's not for me. I like space. Yeah. So the tiny houses, I really like the idea of it, but I think as a personally for me, no, it's not what I want to do in life.
All right. How about you, Milan?
I think I would love that idea of that small community. But what I find sad about individual tiny houses, there are no cohesion between the different houses. So I would like to live in a big community with all small houses where they're all the same, or all working together to have one ecosystem or living environment, instead of all that different tiny houses.
I already talked about how much I love the Nest, and I really like the Club Kitsch. Do you have a special place, even maybe within the cinema we're sitting in right now, which you really, really love, which is like maybe your kind of safe space, the space you really, really like the most here at Maison Florida?
Yeah, my studio. Paper Planes Editions, it's called. It's in the space called ARP, which is the Autonomous Republic of Print, which I repurposed as my print studio. Okay. But it also has this Xerox printer, which is for the community. So basically everybody can always come into my studio. So it's a nice way of like being very on my own, but also having interactions with people coming to use it. And hopefully in the future, other people will actually use my studio in a way when they know how to use it.
I think anywhere where the action is, because I really like the involvement of the people. So it doesn't really matter in which location it is. If it's outside, inside, in the kitchen or at ARP, it doesn't really matter for me.
All right. What I want to address that again. Like I feel like that is especially important for you, Milan. What makes Maison Florida so special to the community? But what does work here, where in Hasselt at Maison Florida, which might not work somewhere else?
I think the big range of people that are working here. It's not only artists with their own studios, but there are also bakers, tattoo shops. You can find any kind of people here, and that's what's really interesting. Instead of in Antwerp or Ghent, it's more separated, the arts, the kitchen and the other things. And here it's all in one place, because we don't really have much artist-run spaces. So it's more put together here.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very eclectic group of people, which...
Really eclectic.
Yeah, like bakers, tattoo shops, printers, fashion designers, artists, like researchers. So you get this, very specific energy, which can happen here because the space is so big. And just a lot of like small things happening with like people crossing their ideas, and I think the energy of the building is really great.
It really feels like you would have like condensed like a city or maybe like a whole country into very few persons and in a very small space, because everybody has these specific ideas and interests and skills, which is very fascinating for me. Finally, we still have this coronavirus pandemic right now, and not the people I'm sure we would love to open the Magnificent Migraine Festival to the public, which isn't quite possible right now. Once this horrific, gnawing pandemic is over, what would you love to do first, once you can again?
It's a good question.
It's hard to dream about that time.
Yeah,
true,
like dreams have been crushed so many times. So I'm just taking it one day at a time and like seeing what happens, because just steadily progressing. Because
it's also the beauty of this place, I think, because there are no plans for the future. Really, they have really big guidelines that they are working in, but instead of museums or something like that, they don't really have things they have to do or they want to do for, a long time in advance.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's like a limited time, like this is not a 10-year plans or something. So you're just kind of working with the time you have, and then we'll see what happens afterwards.
I would love to come to one of these concerts that, as I talked to Jan earlier, that he's a resident with his band here. Would love to visit one of his concerts once it's possible again, once people can show up again. Whenever that will be. Thank you so much for joining me today and answering my questions and telling us a little bit more about Maison Florida. I wish you the best for the next days, and you can keep on working on a project, and Maison Florida will find its way. And
Definitely.
we will show another video right now again about the Maison Florida to show some places that are here, and your studio will be there visible too. So we will look at that again, and we will use that chance, and we will see you again after that.
Kreativität, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.
Hello, and welcome back to the Hello Creator Festival 2021. Today we're at the Maison Florida at the Magnificent Migraine Festival, and I'm joined by two guests. First, Finn and Jannis, and nice to have you here.
Thank you.
You guys lived here for a while. No, Finn, you lived here for a while in your van, you told me earlier, is that right?
Yes, I stayed in a kind of gypsy wagon for almost 3 months here to write for my poetry bundle. And it was outside the building where now is the Steph is in caravan and Elke caravan, so, and the little tiny house. So yeah, before they were there, I was there by myself outside the building in the winter to write. So yeah, that's what I did here in the beginning.
So how was that for you to live in a caravan somewhere in a industrial district in the winter where it's quite cold? Especially for like it wasn't like last week probably, but it was insanely cold last week.
Yes, it wasn't last week. It was from beginning of November, end of October till now.
Yeah.
Till like 1 month ago. Yeah, it was cold, but I had electricity that I got from the building, and I was always inside to cook, do everything I wanted, and in the hallway upstairs with the wood stove. It was like a fun combination of the creativity and the people inside, and the possibility to leave and go outside and let the building be and just be on my own. So it was a fun combination.
All right. Did you feel a significant difference on your work, on your art, while being so kind of separated from the outside world?
Yeah, to write, I always try to find that combination. For inspiration, I want people around and stuff to do. But when I have to sit down and write, I have to be on my own. And with Corona, it's always on your own. And in the beginning, it was perfect. It worked great. But yeah, and after a couple of time, you want to experience things, and this was a good place for that.
All right. And in the pre-interview, we talked a little bit about how you shaped a room here at the Maison Florida called the Bureau. What exactly did you create there?
It was a room where I wanted to, how do you call it? I wanted to put words, not only written, but I also want to show it to people. Like, how can you not only write a text and read it, but also have a little bit of an experience? And it's so evolved that I made a little room. I call it a great dictionary of chaos. So everybody here can come in that room and write. There's a typewriter, there are papers, you can write on the walls, on the floor, doesn't matter. So that hopefully in a while we have a lot of words, poems, sentences, doesn't matter, of everybody here. And they can put it in little frames, they can hang it up. Yeah, so a little bit of a big dictionary.
Jannis, you're kind of freshly new here at the Maison Florida. Have you had the chance yet to participate at this dictionary of chaos?
No, I actually heard about that the Bureau is her space at the first time just now. Maison Florida is this huge anthill of weird spaces. So I have seen this space, but I haven't entered it. Also, it has been closed, so I couldn't enter it. Or is it open?
It's closed.
Oh, it's open. Okay.
You just need to put on the lights.
Okay. I'll go check it out soon.
Great.
You heard it here. So, in general, Jannis, can you talk about the role you have here at Maison Florida? What you're doing right here?
Well, my current role is to just help out to manage the place, but in my traject as an intern, this role will swap around. So at some point, my role is no longer to assist, but my role is to be assisted in my project. Right. So yeah, that's basically what I'm here to do. I first do other people's stuff, and then they will help me do my stuff.
All right. What will that project be once you are already assisting, done assisting?
Yeah, I don't know. My projects really differentiate on what I am interested in at the moment. So right now it would be about trust and about how to manage said trust. How do you trust people? What happens? And how do you call it? What? How do you pierce through people and get straight to the core of things? Because we're always like making these little ways of communicating, following these rules. But yeah, I mean, at the end there is just now. And in this now, you can do a lot of stuff. There's a particular thing that I am interested in. It's this term. It's called paresia. Paresia means that you speak the truth, but with danger for yourself. And I think this term can be a key in terms of trust. Like, if you speak the truth while putting yourself in danger, it is easier for people to trust you because you are already risking something. You're already bearing something. So yeah, I don't know what my project is going to be, but there's many things.
In the context that you're one of the people that are kind of new here, I talked to a lot of people that have been here for 1.5 years, that lived here, that saw kind of every corner here. How is it for you to become get in here as a fresh person, as a new person, and then let's give it a context of trust. So how do you think trust works here in the Maison Florida?
Trust works for sure. Like, I've been leaving my super expensive laptop in the hallway. Don't use this information.
Where exactly is it?
Yeah, like I've seen how people usually go around with each other's stuff and with the way that it is managed. Like, I'm never like being watched by my supervisor. I leave my dirty dishes sometimes for the next day, and I'm not reprimanded for that. And in terms of how it was to arrive here, it's like going over a hill, and on the other side of the hill there is the big land of opportunity. It's this. There's workshops everywhere, and there's weird places where people are doing stuff, and that's all it is. It's a place where people do stuff, and that's amazing because I want to do stuff. I want to be one of those people. Yeah.
And you can trust each other here to do those stuff and experiment. I think that's the biggest trust here.
Yeah.
Just you leave and be and do, and that's the fun thing about this place, that trust is here, and you don't have to think, oh no, what if I'm going to do this? Doesn't matter, just do it. That trust is here.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Maison Florida and the experience with it. To help maybe put it in more context, is there any special stories? What is your magic moment you had while you're staying at Maison Florida, which is like maybe in 10 years you will look back and will say, okay, at this time of my life I was at this place and this happened and this is the story you will tell?
Let me think for a second.
Yeah, no rush.
I think just the moment I now think about is I was out with friends, and I come back, and in the hallway upstairs with the wood stove, one person was there, and I just sat down and we talked for hours until I think 3 a.m. And I think that's the moment that was like, okay, I don't know this person, but we just talked for hours, and now I sometimes don't see these persons. It's not only him, but also other people here. You can see them for 3 weeks, a month, don't see them, and it's just like, well, we're friends, it's okay. You're here, so you're a friend. So that moment represents that. All
right. How about you?
Well, I've only been here for a while, but I must say that I have also been having good conversations in terms of aforementioned, like piercing through. This basis of being friends as you are one of the people who is here is a really good basis for having conversation. Like, yeah, you can just cut into any topic and people know, like, okay, this person wants to talk about this, so let's do that. Why not? And yeah.
Or just drink a bottle of wine.
Yeah. What do you think, like, the Maison Florida makes right that should be maybe transported into the whole outside world of Maison Florida, like into maybe the city you grew up in? Like, what could they learn from Maison Florida?
Trust. Trust and friendship.
I think the room to experiment and to be I just want to not be so clean and just like, it doesn't matter if you break something. It doesn't matter if you you are dirty stuff around. You'll clean it up. It's okay. But yeah, do not worry about, oh no, I can't scratch this stuff. I think that's what we more need to do in the city. Because I grew up in this city, but this building here is outside of the city center, which is a little bit more clean and commercial. I think Hasselt be a bit more like this place in the city center also.
To have a question directly at you, Finn, what did your friends or family think when you said, okay, all right, guys, I'm going to move into this caravan for 3 months at this place, and you probably won't see me so much during that time?
It wasn't that I really said that I went to like stay here for 3 months. I just took the caravan, which I sometimes go on vacation with, and I put it here, and it was the opportunity. I said I'm going to be there a lot, but it turns out I was here for 3 months. But they think it's okay. They know that I sometimes go and leave and come back. Like in this moment, I'm living in a tent in a wood, in a forest. So they know she's just in the forest for a couple of times. We don't know when she will come back. But I sometimes on the Sunday say hello and drink a coffee, or I invite them. So
tell us more about that. Are you riding there, or what is the reason you're staying there right now?
Just for fun. I was here and I liked the outside living, so I wanted to be more in nature. And I said, okay, this was a good experiment to begin with. And then I had the opportunity to go to that forest. I bought a tent, and my brother and my sister-in-law bought a caravan, so they are also there in the weekends for now. To be more in nature, to ride. I don't have electricity, I don't have running water, but I still make sure I don't smell, I hope.
No, it's fine.
It's just a fun thing to do. You have to just sometimes do the things you want to do for a long time, and we'll see how long it turns out. I don't know.
Well, you also said that you like the swap between being isolated and being for yourself and working, and you also love the context, working with other artists, with other residents of the Maison Florida. Where we could see that was your dictionary of chaos. Did that interchangeability and that talk with other creative people had a outcome on your work? Did it have an influence?
Of course. I also always write from myself. Very intuitive. So everybody that I talk to during the day, it can just be simple words or a sentence they say that I like, and they don't know it, but in my head I repeat it so I can remember it, and it comes back always. And not only that's literally, but you also have the vibe you have when you're somewhere. And I try to, when I know that I'm in a phase that I'm writing a lot, I'm interacting with people in a different way. It's more, I'm thinking in terms of writing sometimes when I talk to people, and then I know, okay, I'm going to write about that later, or it's more subtle. You see that it comes through in some words, some texts.
Okay, I see that like Maison Florida is this humongous place. It's insanely huge.
Yes.
I think if you walk from one end to the other, it needs like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes it feels like you take.
Yes.
It's so huge that there's like skateboards around here that you can get out around faster.
I walked around on a unicycle here.
Did you know that before, or did you learn that while going around?
I did it when I was a child, and I picked it up again when I was here. Just not always walk here.
I would love to see that, like just chilling in my room and then have somebody on a unicycle running by.
Yes, and then in the evening with the glass of wine on my unicycle.
It seems like this is this crazy circus which has so many rooms and little areas and this kitchen and everything. What is your favorite area here? Which is the place you love to return every now and then and again and again and again?
Oh, I really like the warm hallway upstairs. not only because I was here in winter, of course, but it's a place where everybody gets cold here. And even people that you never met who like to be on their own in their working space, they come for the heat there. So you always have, you share some food, and you see, and you're in the hallway, you can see over the garden. It's just beautiful sight.
It's also warm in concept. Like the walls are all red. Like it's a super cozy corner, and apart from just being able to see the garden, you can also kind of see who's walking throughout the hallways.
Yes,
so
you can
if
look
there's somebody you want to talk to, you can like, hi.
Yes, and it's also fun because there are so many rooms here, and still we have to make a room from a hallway.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, you just want to.
It's true. I really love this hallway because when we collected all that footage when we were filming here, after a while I got pretty cold, and then when I came into that room, it was like a new life. I loved it so much. It's like being my mother's womb again. One final question before we end it. I see that you really enjoy your time now here, and it has a significant change in your life, it feels like. What is like something that you will take home after that? Like maybe your ways will apart, but maybe something you learn from Maison Florida that will keep in your heart.
I think I will always keep in my heart that you're always welcome here. Even if you're away for a while, or you said you were going to do something, but then something other comes up and you're just not here. You know, you step one foot into the building and everybody's like, hello, and think that's something that I will take with me. If I see these people in a couple of years again, I will know they will be friendly and they will welcome me.
Yeah, I think what I will take away is the fact that this place can exist in the first place. Like, everybody who's here is here because they have something that they want to do. And through that, the community kind of occurs. But it's basically everybody's own intrinsic motivation bring people together. And sometimes you need somebody and you can just be like, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you come? And whatever. So you do have these interactions. But yeah, it is possible for like a huge space to just be there, and people can just come and do their shit. And it's not there's not a high bar. There's not like you need to show your artist degree, or if you have a good idea, you can make it here. And the fact that a place like this can exist and people can make spaces like this for me is awesome. Like, I would love to take this space with me wherever I go.
That would be awesome, yeah. No, I would love to have a place like Maison Florida in every city I would visit in the future. That is, I feel like it's such a great addition to every city. And yeah, thank you so much for having me today here and having Hello Creator to have this festival here today. I wish you the best for your stay for the next time and for your internship. And we will have a short break, and then we will see each other again for the final interview for today. So see you in a while.
Georgia, is it cool? I wanna tell you.
Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.
And welcome back to the Hello Creator Festival 2021, which today we're guests at the Magnificent Migraine Festival, which is kind of a tongue breaker if I think about it, of saying that back to and forth to each other. My final two guests for today will be Steph and Johan, and we just talked about a little bit your art, your projects are kind of somewhat similar to each other in a certain way, but I think it's best if you guys talk about each other, no, not about each other, about yourselves a little bit. Steph, you're one of the founders here of the Maison Florida, you're at the board. Can you talk a little bit about your role here?
So I joined the school, which is the organization behind Maison Florida. I joined the school, I think, 1.5 years ago. Pablo asked me if I wanted to be part of a project. He was very vague about it, and I guess it still is fake today because, like, if you try to explain what the school is, it's very different because it changes depending on the time and place that we are working in. But yeah, I was immediately enthusiastic to be a part of it. And my part here in Maison Florida is mainly helping people out with projects, with stuff. We have a lot of materials coming in from various organizations because we're in the industrial side of Hasselt here. And yeah, a lot of artists can use these materials, so trying to manage that a little bit, like manage the stuff, manage all of the spaces here in Maison Florida, making sure that the electricity works and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a concierge role, like maintenance, but in a more experimental way. Like it's not a 9-to-5 job kind of thing, so that's fun.
Can you tell us a little bit about how it was to arrive at this place, which some stuff was run down, some stuff didn't work right well.
Yeah.
So how was it to come here, see what needed to be done? Was it like overwhelming, or how was that?
From where we came from, this was like a 5-star resort.
All right.
Because the buildings we came from, the roof was crumbling down, so you had to like watch out not to walk too heavy like on the floor, because then the ceiling would come
all
down.
right, okay.
So yeah, there was no water there. So coming from that space to this space, yeah, then it's still pretty okay. Like we have running water, we have electricity. Today we have an exception, we have heat because it was freezing. So they turned up the heat. So yeah, we can't complain really, but we found ways all the time for all the problems we faced, and also the owners of the building were very helpful in solving these issues. So yeah, we were lucky.
Johan, have you seen, how long have you been here? Have you seen how the Maison Florida rised like a phoenix from the ashes of this former place?
It's funny that you talk about the phoenix, because I also did a project with the phoenix.
Great, yeah.
Because it's also the reliving of the past, of the garbage, of something went wrong. I think what we should do is make something positive out of the negative from the past, and that is something what's definitely happening here, because it's such a big space, so much possibilities for people, things to do, and it should be a waste if this would be empty. And now with all these young artists getting a chance to explore or to be creative, because space gives opportunities.
Let's put that a little bit in a context. You talked about garbage and recycling.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about what exactly you use these spaces here at Maison Florida for?
I'm interested in lots of disciplines. Like the basic materials I love the most, like wood or dirt, by ceramics, or like very classical materials. But then still, in these days, we have so much overproduction and consumption. So I see these garbage as the new materials of this time. I think if you can transform something like what people throw away, and I don't see value in something, and just by giving it back identity, by somebody touching it with their emotions or feelings, or that it becomes something unique from that mass product to that, I think that's very interesting. Like it's more attractive to have something unique than these. You can consume something expensive like a very fancy handbag, but at the end you're not exclusive. You're just consuming the identity of the creator. And I think for the young new generation, it's very interesting to see how they are busy with developing their own identity by creating. Also the possibility to create in these days, with there's so much more leisure, and yeah, people don't have to work that hard anymore. When they have to go to work in fabrics, or it's a contradiction actually. But
I can't help but notice you brought something for us today. What is it in your lap? It's this gorilla head you brought.
It's something I'm interested in lots of disciplines, and this I did with a very famous taxidermy artist, and just by putting this music box in it, makes it more me than just a design of my friend who molded the gorilla.
Yeah, right.
And I used this flock as a surface finished. I'm not really. In my student time, I only want to use cardboard, and because it's, I'm very fragile about material use, about ecology. And then sometimes you can afford yourself to use a chemical material as the message can be as strong. If it makes the message stronger, you can allow yourself to.
All right. Steph, we mentioned it earlier that you somehow have a similar approach in the fact that you like to have like second-hand stuff that was already in other hands. You told me you work with found stuff. How can I imagine that?
Yeah, I think a year ago I changed using the word like garbage, and I changed it to lost objects. I like the sound of it, that it's not garbage, it's just lost or it's forgotten. And it's just waiting for someone to just be picked up again, and then putting it in like Johan said, like putting it in a different kind of function and form, and giving a new message with it. And I always try to start from necessity. I put myself in certain situations where I'm in a conflict with myself, or I'm trying to like survive in a way. I guess you could like you can. It kind of resembles with how people go through life. Like I'm very interested in the homeless problematics. Like I think these people have to be really creative, and they're forced to be creative. And I think there's an interesting relationship between creativity and the homeless. And I'm trying to research that area. I'm still finding my way through it, but there was this guy, Henry David Thoreau. He wrote the book Walden. I don't know if you know it. And he mentions voluntary, and now I'm looking for the English word, poverty. Voluntary poverty. So surrounding yourself with like a little bit of stuff, like the bare minimum, and then trying to see what direction you will go. And that's what I'm trying to do now with my work. Like I build a small house with only found materials, and I try to buy as least stuff as I could, and then just see like how can I make this, how can I find solutions, and yeah, you're gonna use stuff that you wouldn't use if you had like a budget, let's say for 5,000 euros. You would just go to the Gamma or the Hubo, you would buy your plywood and your nails and stuff, and you would make it. But it's interesting, like Johan also said, like when you start from found materials, you're gonna find like these different ways of creating, and that's very fascinating for me because, like I said, we get a lot of material here from the surrounding companies. For them, it's waste material, and sometimes like they drop stuff here, and I'm like, oh, nobody's gonna use this. Like, this is just gonna, like we have a lot of space here, but like. It's not a good idea. But then a week later, someone is using it in a completely new way. It fascinates me every time. I think it's really cool to see that.
I can't help but to think about it again. I talked about that earlier with the with the other guys that live at the Crocodile Boulevard.
Yeah, Crocodile Boulevard. Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, it was incredible cold, like really, really bad. And I couldn't stop thinking about the homeless in my city. Thinking about that, you constructed your home on top of a shopping cart. Yeah. How did you experience that cold?
Yeah, the cold was intense. I didn't spend every night there. I spent some of the nights together in the caravan of my neighbor. She's also my girlfriend, Elke Kuppens. But yeah, the nights that I spent there, it was super cold. And then you're like, you feel where the cold is coming from. So I used some of my socks, like push it in like in the holes in the wall. And I think every night I lay awake writing down stuff like, okay, how can I improve this house and how can I make it better? I ended up putting in extra insulation and stuff like that. But this was also the reason why I started with it, because like you said, like there are a lot of people sleeping outside. And I wanted to, I don't know, it's easy to say like, why are you going to live in a shopping cart? Like people sometimes ask it. Is it not better to like maybe help those people directly? But it's kind of like I'm privileged to help them, but giving them money and stuff like that, I don't think it's gonna help. Like first I want to understand like how do they feel and like what are their basic needs, and I don't know, like be more on the level of people who have not a lot of stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, trying to mentally reach that level in a way, and then maybe I can help them from their level, or if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I get it, yeah. Talking about that, you guys use a lot of stuff for your art that is like found or used or garbage. What do you guys think that maybe every one of us should change in the way they consume? Because I find myself again and again consuming, triggering endorphins of buying stuff that I don't really need. What do you guys
think quality is a very interesting, because these days you have a lot of big stores and they really sell really crap that you are thinking like
for a small amount of time you can use it. And
for example, buying a frame and you can't find glass in front and they only have this black sea. And for me, it's something very difficult to understand. Of course, there's always a plus point, because the plus point will be that it's for them, for transport, easier. Or for me, I was thinking it's much lighter to use plastic than glass. But for example, also when I build some furniture, I use old massive wood furniture. It's much cheaper if I just go to a second-hand shop, and then it's more expensive when you go to a store where you buy wood what's 50% plastic, for example, like synthetic woods. And also you also have to look at the positive sides. For example, when you buy these wooden tablets from 50 years ago, you are sure that it's not going to crack. Yeah. And if you're going to start with new woods, there's always this possibility that it's going to be a big crack in it because it's alive. Wood is still living after it's no tree anymore, let's say. But quality is very important, I think also, and by creating by new artists or fashion designers, you have to pay more, but at the end you have also something. Otherwise, you consume something and you have actually just garbage. It's the durability of some products are so low that it's actually a bit of a crime that it's allowed to happen. So that the only point is making money and the rest is not important. That's a bit of a pity. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, for me it's like I spend a long time going to where I am now. Like I don't have a lot of stuff now, but I did before. And it went like in phases. I had like these boxes where I would keep stuff. And then if I look back at it, I just should have made myself like a rule, like, okay, put something in the box, and if it doesn't come out in the next 3 months, then throw it away. I think that would be like a super good advice if you want to like have less and try to find what are the essential needs that you really need, that are really bringing value to your life. And like you once said, like the durability of it, like will it last long and give you pleasure for a long time, and not just like for a few days and then you throw it away, because then I don't think it's really worth it.
I can't get around but to ask everyone about their plans for the next 1.5 years that Maison Florida will exist, at least, hopefully longer. Do you have special projects, plans, events that you hope you can do, specifically maybe when Corona will be over, hopefully soon, that you really hope to do in the next 1.5 years where Maison Florida exists?
I'm not really a planner, I have to be honest with that. And but I'm always busy with so much disciplines, and I did this in the insect museum. I did research about the interaction between people and insects, and then it's a studies of form. And at the beginning, I wanted to do just a form study, but at the end, I was doing more the connection between people and insects. And that's something I want to do actually. And I did this now in a smaller insect museum, but it would be cooler to put it farther to a bigger museum, like the Insect Museum in Brussels, that I would love to do, but if it's gonna happen, let's hope so.
All right, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's one point. And then, yeah, furniture. I have always a lot of wood there lying around that I can keep myself busy, so.
All right, okay. How about you, Yusuf?
Yeah, for me, the Crocodile Boulevard project you mentioned earlier, that's going to be my biggest focus, I think. The last year and a half, I spent most of my time in finishing this building. Of course, it's never finished, like it changes all the time, but the infrastructure for me is ready now. Like you have the small ateliers, you have the big ateliers, you have the temporary spaces, and it kind of can manage itself. Like there's sometimes some problems, but like there's no big challenges that need to be tackled. And then for me, like my attention goes like, I need to find like another project or something. And then our attention went to Crocodile Boulevard, the space behind the building, which will be a street in which we will research well-being, permaculture, small living. Now we are a team of 4, Elke Kuppes, Thomas de Gregorio, Lore Praat and myself. But the idea is to get more people in this project. And then after this 1 year and a half, we will really like to start a small community and take the project of Crocodile Boulevard somewhere else. And start like a small village. And this sounds very idealistic or naive maybe, but we're really serious about it. And we're gonna take these experiments of this experimental way of living life, trying stuff out, tweaking stuff, and we're gonna take this with us because we also think that in society today, like, okay, everyone agrees there are a lot of challenges that we have to do, and there's a lot of things that have to change, but it's super hard to change stuff in big cities, in big countries. It's not so hard to do it with like a small community of 100 people. So that's gonna be our focus, like, what kind of changes can you do? And then we really want to focus also on reflection, trying to inspire as much people as we can with this project to show that we can do stuff in a different way, but then we might have to scale down things a little bit. So that's going to be my challenge.
Yeah, it would be really exciting to see if the Crocodile Boulevard would transform to a crocodile village in the future. That would be really interesting to see. I would love to visit that again once it happens.
Always welcome.
And thank you for answering all of my questions. Thank you for having us today here. We had a great time talking to all of you guys. We will end our Hello Creator Festival 2021 stream from the Maison Boulevard. I'm totally Maison Florida. Yeah. Boulevard was about the crocodile thing today. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope we see you next time again on Hello Creator TV. Thanks to Maison Florida again for having us, and we see you guys next time. Bye.
Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida. Hello Creator TV, live in Hasselt at the Magnificent Migraine Festival by Maison Florida.